Are you ready to have a whale of a day? Don't go anywhere, it's coming up next.
Hello and thanks for joining us. We are here today at the Palos Verdes Interpretive Center for our annual event, Whale of a Day. Now this is sponsored by the city of Rancho Palos Verdes as well as Los Serenos State Point Vicente. And I can tell you all of our community comes out to have a whale of a time. How many years have you been coming to this event, Mayor?
You know, I've lost track, but I'm sure it's been at least 5 or 6.
And have you noticed how much bigger it is this year than any other year? People are talking about it more. And
Well, at least this year we've got some sun. There isn't as much fog as we're typically used to, and I'm hoping we will get to see some whales, although odds are I won't.
now, you know what? We're going to talk about that because Mark Dottie, our cameraman, station manager, claims that he sees whales here all the time. I have not seen one yet. So are you an avid whale watcher, Mayor?
Well, when I was last here trying to watch for whales, my wife and I spent an hour, and people told us there'd been a lot of whales that morning, and I said, you watch. My wife got frustrated. She said, let's leave. I said, you watch. We turn around, turn our backs, take 2 steps, and there'll be whales. And there were. And I heard the yelling and screaming. We turned back around, ran back, and it was all over.
Well, whether we see whales or not, this is definitely one of the most beautiful places to come and look for whales, no doubt.
Absolutely. And in fact, it is the place on land where you can best see whales, where they come closest to the land along the whole West Coast.
This event just gets bigger and bigger every year. We're running into people throughout the community here today. It's amazing.
Well, it's a great event, not just for Rancho Palos Verdes, but for the whole Palos Verdes Peninsula and the South Bay. And it spreads out a little bit more each year. I mean, this year they've got the animal area. They've got a huge golden eagle over there with a 6-foot wingspread. I mean, this eagle is huge. And they've got their handlers over there, and they'll explain all about these animals. They've got llamas. They've got all of the natural reptiles and snakes that live in our area. And that's the first place I took my kids today was over there to look at all of them and the other exhibits. Before they ended up just behind you on the jumpies.
And I think you've lost them now for the rest of the day, by the way.
I think so.
Now, I see you are also watching the whales. Now, have you ever seen a whale out here, Brian?
I have seen a whale, but I have never seen one breach. I'm still waiting for the first time I'm going to see a whale actually come up out of the water. Mostly gray whales. I don't think I've ever seen a fin whale. I did see 3 blue whales once, though, which were stunning. It was like watching a nuclear submarine come up out of the water and then blow its spouts. It's absolutely amazing.
And how many years have you been coming to Whale of a Day?
Well, let's see. I've been a city manager here for 4 years, and before that, I was not living in Southern California. I'm sure had I been, I would have been here all my life.
This event gets bigger and bigger every year. Just talk about that. Just walking through here, there's more vendors, there's more people.
I think there are, and as I have circled my way through, I've talked to some of the vendors. I've asked them whether, of course, either I recognize them from before, but there are quite a few that I am really excited that are here for the first time. A lot of them include young people here as volunteers working at the tables. Almost all of them are oriented toward marine life, various nature preserve areas, and very educational. They've got some great displays that I thought was fascinating. I went by one table and I saw this big, huge skull. And I said, what is that? And it's a skull of an orca. So I think it just puts it all in perspective, and the theme is very, very strong. I love to see it continue to build. So, I did my best here to go with the theme.
You did, excellent.
And I got my new t-shirt.
Nice.
Because my old one was a couple years old, and I got the word that I need to get up to date.
All right, now I have to ask you, are you a whale watcher, Carolyn?
I am. I really have only seen one, and that was, I think, on the day that I was coming here for an interview, for my job interview. So that was a good omen.
Okay, this is our bell, and we ring it when when these census takers start getting excited. You can tell they're seeing a whale, and I confirm it with them, and then I ring the bell.
Tell us what you have to do to find a whale when you're watching. What kind of things do you look for?
Well, what we do is we look for the blow of the whale. When a whale comes up, it breathes out at about 75 to 100 miles an hour, and its breath is vaporized. It's kind of like when you breathe out on a cold day. You can really see that. So that's the first thing we're looking for is the blow. And what they'll generally do is they'll blow 3 to 5 times in a row and then arch their back and stay down for 3 to 6 minutes. So the first thing we look for is the blow. The second thing we look for is the back. They have a series of knuckles on their back, between 7 and 14 knuckles on the back instead of a fin, and that will show up really nice against the water. The third thing we look for is the fluke. They don't always fluke, less than half the time, but sometimes they'll raise their tail really high before they go on that long dive. And the fourth thing we look for is the footprint, or fluke print. When the whale goes down, its tail disturbs the surface tension of the water and leaves a smooth, round circle. And sometimes we've spotted whales just by seeing that appear, and we keep watching, and then when the whale pops up.
Now, do you see multiple whales at one time, or how does that work?
We can, and typically it's most common to see just one. The second most common is 2. But in the last 2 weeks, we've seen a pod of 8, a pod of 6, a pod of 5, and a couple of 4.
Now, talk about why they migrate to this area, because so many people come here to watch whales.
Yeah, this is a fantastic area for whale watching. We're at a point right here that juts out into the ocean, and we're about 125 feet above sea level. The water very close to shore drops really deep. So a lot of the whales that come from, say, Point Magoo or Point Doom will cross the Santa Monica Bay, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 miles offshore, but they'll come in really close to the point where we're at. They might be just beyond the kelp beds, they might be a mile out, but they typically come really close. And then many of them will go out toward the oil rigs off Long Beach, so they might be again 5 or 6 miles offshore. So we tend to see not only a lot of gray whales come by this point, but many different species of whales and dolphins. We've had common dolphin, white-sided dolphin, and bottlenose dolphin just this morning. So we have about 15 different species of whales and dolphins that we've spotted just from shore.
We don't see whales jump out very much, is that right?
Not too often, but we did have a whale breach a couple times last week. We don't see very many spy hops. That's when one sticks its head up out of the water, but we do see some breaching. And we tend to see some more later on in the season, for example, about a month from now.
And then why don't they do that?
Well, I think it's because they're migrating and they have to swim 6,000 miles. And
Is that all?
That's all. And they're going all the way from Baja to back up to Alaska, and it takes anywhere from 3 to 4 months.
So they're busy going where they're going.
They're busy going. And unless typically the ones that breach are the younger ones that have a lot of excess energy. But when they're concentrating their feeding up in Alaska in the summertime, and they haven't had much food at all since, say, September, October, and this is now March, there isn't a whole lot of extra energy to be using on that. So it might be for showing off, it might be to attract another whale, but they don't tend to do it too much here. Now in Mexico they do it a lot, and we think that might be to attract a mate perhaps. Okay. And up in Alaska they do that, and that has to do with feeding. They've got a lot of extra energy, but we do get to see it sometimes.
Now, what's the best time of the day to come out and watch?
Anytime that you could see the water. You don't want to go on a really foggy day because you can't see the water. The whales travel 24 hours a day. They don't stop at night. We never know where we're going to see them. We tend to have sometimes a little better sighting conditions in the morning. In the afternoon, there's more glare on the water, which can make it tougher to see the whale itself, but the blows stand out. Okay. And the wind can pick up sometimes a little bit in the afternoon, but any time is a good whale watching time.
And this is such a beautiful place to come to watch the whales. How many hours a day do you get out here?
I try to get out every weekend if I can for a couple of hours, at least an hour. I work full-time as a marine biology high school teacher and marine science magnet in San Pedro. We have other volunteers who come out every day, like in the morning, Monday through Friday. Not too many of those anymore, but we have certain people who come out like every Thursday morning, others that come out every Saturday morning. We have others that come out most afternoons. So we have a big consistency. We've got about 65 people who participate in the project, and about 13 of those spend over 200 hours between the beginning of December 1st and May 15th, watching for whales.